ever had that feeling deep in your gut that something is terribly, terribly wrong? A feeling you try to push away, telling yourself it's just your imagination. Alex and Chloe wished they had listened to that feeling. Their story begins on a winding mountain road with the promise of a romantic getaway. They were heading to the Starlight Peak Hotel, a place whispered about online for its breathtaking views, and something else, a single, decades-old, unsolved disappearance. But hey, that was just a ghost story, right? A bit of local color to spook the tourists. The hotel itself was grand, a relic of a bygone era, nestled high in the mountains. An old-fashioned bell chimed as they pushed open the heavy oak doors. The air inside was still and smelled of pine and dust. The manager, a man with a smile that never quite reached his eyes, welcomed them warmly. "Ah, yes, the honeymoon suite," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "Room 207. A very special room." He handed them a heavy brass keyed out special. That was one word for it. As they walked up the creaking staircase, Chloe shivered. "This place gives me the creeps," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Alex squeezed her hand. "It's just old, that's all. Think of the views we'll have," and the views were incredible. Their room, 207, had a massive window overlooking a valley blanketed in fog. But the room itself felt cold, an unnerving, blown deep chill that had nothing to do with the mountain air. That night, after a day of hiking, they settled into the antique four-poster bed. Just as they were drifting off to sleep, they heard it. Footsteps. A slow, steady pacing right above their heads. Thump, thump, thump. Alex sat up. "Is someone still up?" he mumbled. Chloe was already awake, her eyes wide in the dark. "Alex, look at the ceiling." He did. It was just a flat, plaster ceiling. There was no floor above them. Room 207 was on the top floor of the hotel. They tried to ignore it, telling themselves it was the pipes, the old building settling. But the footsteps continued every night, always at the same time, just after midnight. A slow, deliberate march back and forth like a sentinel on duty. Sleep became a luxury they couldn't afford. The romantic getaway was turning into a waking nightmare. By the third morning, they'd had enough. The lack of sleep, the constant feeling of being watched, the oppressive silence of the hotel during the day. It was all too much. "That's it," Alex declared, throwing his clothes into his suitcase. "We're leaving." "I don't care about the refund." Chloe nodded, her relief palpable. They packed in a frenzy, eager to escape the suffocating atmosphere of room 207. They dragged their bags down the grand staircase, the sound echoing in the empty lobby. The manager was behind the front desk, polishing a glass, that same placid smile on his face. "We're checking out early," Alex announced, placing the brass key on the counter with a loud clank. The manager looked up, his smile widening slightly. He tilted his head. "Checking out? But sir, you already checked out yesterday." Alex stared at him, confused. "What are you talking about?" "We've been in room 207 the whole time." The manager's smile faltered for just a second, replaced by a flicker of something else. Stop pity. "Amusement." "I'm afraid you're mistaken," he said, his his voice still smooth, but with a new, sharp edge. "We found your room empty yesterday morning. The housekeepers cleaned it for the next guests." A cold dread washed over Alex and Chloe. This had to be a joke. A sick, twisted prank. "That's impossible," Chloe said, her voice trembling. "Our bags, our things are still up there." The manager simply shook his head slowly. "I assure you, the room is empty." Without another word, Alex and Chloe ran back up the stairs, their hearts pounding in their chests. They burst through the door of room 207 and stopped dead. The room was pristine. The bed was perfectly made, not a single wrinkle in the comforter. Their suitcases were gone. Their clothes, their toiletries, everything vanished. It was as if they had never been there at all. Chloe let out a small, strangled sob. "Alex, what's happening?" Alex's mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation. There wasn't one. Then he saw it. Lying on the center of the perfectly made bed was a single, small, white envelope. His hand shook as he reached for it. Inside was a Polaroid photograph. His blood ran cold. The photo was of him and Chloe, asleep in that very bed. But the angle, the photo was taken from the foot of the bed, from inside the room, while they slept. And in the dim light, you could just make out a shadowy figure standing in the corner of the frame, watching them. Panic set in. Pure, unadulterated terror. They fled. They didn't even bother with the front door. They ran through the back, past the kitchens, and out into the cold mountain air. They scrambled into their car, not looking back, and sped down the winding road, leaving the Starlight Peak Hotel behind. As they drove, the fog began to clear. They finally reached the small town at the base of the mountain, its lights a welcome, comforting sight. They pulled into a gas station, their breath still coming in ragged gasps. Alex went inside to ask for directions, to confirm they were on the right road, to connect with some semblance of reality. He approached the old man behind the counter. "Excuse me," Alex said, his voice hoarse. "We just came from the Starlight Peak Hotel up on the mountain. Can you tell me the quickest way to the highway?" The old man looked up from his newspaper, his brow furrowed in confusion. He took off his glasses and squinted at Alex. "Starlight Peak Hotel," he repeated slowly. "Son, there ain't been a hotel up on that mountain for 50 years. Burned to the ground in a fire. Took everyone inside with it." Alex felt the floor drop out from beneath him. He stumbled back to the car, his face as white as a sheet. He told Chloe what the man had said. They both looked back up at the mountain peak where they had just been. There was no grand hotel. There was no building at all. There was only the dark, jagged outline of the mountain against the evening sky. They drove in silence for a long time, the horrifying truth slowly sinking in. The hotel, the manager, the footsteps, the photograph, it was all real to them, but it existed in a place that no one else could see, a place that only appeared to certain travelers. What did the manager say? The room was cleaned for the next guests. What did the locals whisper about? An unsolved disappearance. They weren't just guests. They were chosen. They were next. And as they drove further and further away, a terrifying thought began to form in Alex. Alex's mind. The manager had said they had already checked out. Their room was found empty. In the official story of the Starlight Peak Hotel, the one told by the outside world, how many other guests had simply checked out. How many rooms had been found empty? How many people had simply vanished from a hotel that, for everyone else, had ceased to exist half a century ago? They had escaped, but the chilling realization remained. They were the guests who checked out, but they would forever be haunted by the hotel that was never there. A place that waits patiently in the mist, ready to welcome its next special guests. To room 207, thank you for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there, and maybe stick to the main roads.